Good morning. This is Shivakumar from the Institute of Quality. I request you to kindly stay online. We'll start in a few minutes. A couple of more people are expected. We'll begin shortly. Morning. Please do stay online. We'll be starting in a few minutes. Okay, good morning. Welcome to the upgrade program. This is Shivakumar from the Institute of Quality. So I'll be taking you through the upgrade program on the 2013 model. Well, this is the last of the upgrade programs that we are having as a part of the current year's calendar. And since probably as a part of this program, since most of the people have already undergone this program, there are very few of you who are left out. So I'm not very sure whether we'll be able to utilize the entire time, whatever we have planned as a part of 10 o'clock to 1 p.m. That's generally considering a strength of close to around 70 to 80, because the Q&A sessions were considerably a little bit longer in all the other upgrades that we have had. But nevertheless, what I try to do is I try to go along with the normal flow, probably, except for the fact that the Q&A session might be a very small one considering the number of people who have joined. But as I said, nevertheless, whatever doubts you have got, please do make sure that you can drop it into the question box, and we'll make an effort to, we'll make sure that all those answers, all the questions are all answered. Well, I guess you would have received the pre-course material from us. One is the 2013 model. Another is the set of course notes, the slides which I'm going to run you through. So kindly keep both of them handy so that when I make those references, you can go across to that for referring to those. So essentially, as a part of this upgrade, the objective of the upgrade program today is to gain a common and a better understanding of the changes in respect to the fundamental concepts of excellence, where there have been, I would say, definitely a major change, definitely. And because the fundamental concepts have changed, the 9-box model, many of the criteria and the guidance points under the sub-criteria have also undergone a change. And then even though the radar still continues to be the same, but there have been a few changes. The radar has been simplified, and I would say it's been made much more decongested in terms of its visual appeal, but at the same time, the way that we will use the radar for scoring is also undergone a change. So primarily, these are the three main things that we'll be discussing as a part of today's update program. So other than this, there is also one more small introduction that EFQM has made as a part of the 2013 upgrade. If you would go to your page number 2 of the Excellence Model booklet, wherein you would see the introduction along with the atomic structure of the fundamental concepts of excellence. Below that, you would see a new paragraph that's been added, which starts with something called as the basis for a model. Basis for the model. Now this is something that is new, but when I would take you through this particular section of the basis for the model, you will realize that it is not totally new, but only thing what we are trying to connect to is, if you recollect in the earlier models, we used to connect from the fundamental concepts to the 9-box model down to the radar, but here there's just one more small change, wherein we are also trying to understand where many of the fundamental concepts have their genesis. That's what is the basis for the 2013 model, which I'm going to take you through now. Well, I will take you through what particularly this slide is a replica of what EFQM has used. But I would like to change that to a small extent because there is not too much of a variation. While it says the EFQM view, I would like to articulate as to what is the CI view about it. While we are following the EFQM model, it necessarily does not mean that we try to take that while the model that we follow from EFQM is in toto, but the views what we have on EFQM has can be a little bit different. From what we see as far as the model is concerned, it is based on a set of human values, while EFQM would say that it is based on a set of European values. But if you look at it, whether it is Europe or whether it's America or whether it's India, it's almost it's based on something that is very, very fundamental. So we would say that the entire thing is based on a set of human values. And in the Indian Charter as well, we have got a lot of laws when it comes to human rights, and we are all governed by a lot of laws that have been imposed by the state as well as the center to which we subscribe to. and then many of these are also being incorporated as a part of the legislation, which anyway as a part of any assessment, we try to look at this as more as a hygiene factor which the organizations are already through. If you look at most of the fundamental concepts have been built on all these things which have also been already mandated as a part of the law, or it's already based on human rights, wherein our own HR policies or structures have already considered most of them. But then one more other fact that I would want you to look at is there is a body called as the United Nations Global Compact, which really encourages businesses to make sure that these principles are all integrated as a part of the day-to-day work in which we involve ourselves. So businesses basically have a fundamental role in terms of supporting UNGC by implementing all these principles. So the basis for the model essentially is talking about many of those 10 principles which I take you through. If you would look at it, most of those principles you would have seen it applied as a part of criterion 3, as a part of HR, or probably as a part of sustainability, or probably even as a part of the many of the others. I would say as a part of labor laws, many of them are coming in. Again, it gets addressed as a part of HR. So somewhere you would see that even though EFQM has brought out this basis, which is part as a need for the model, wherein they are trying to link it up to a higher order thing, but you would essentially see that most of these things are already in place and we are using this. So the United, just briefly a couple of words on the UNGC, on the United Nations Global Compact. This is something that was established in the year 2000. It encourages organizations to actively apply these values that have been set out as a part of those 10 principles. As I said, most of the principles are explicitly covered in the model in some particular criterion or the other. If you look at further in few of these slides, we will be talking about something on labor, something about human rights. So either it gets addressed as a part of the leadership criterion, or a few of them in the sustainability criterion, few of them in people, a few of them would be somewhere in the asset management. Most of this are already covered in the model. The only thing that probably you may not find very explicitly mentioned is about the human rights. You will never find anything in the model, not even a word in the model which talks about corruption, bribery, etc., because all these are something that have been that organizations comply with this, and they are put up as a part of the value systems. So you would see most of them probably somewhere hidden in criterion 1A as far as the EFQM model is concerned. So next I'll try to take you through these 10 principles. Basically, these 10 principles cover, 2 of them are on human rights, 4 of them are on labor, 3 of them are on environment, and then 1 of them is on corruption. These are the 10 principles that UNGC is asking organizations to adopt actively. I'll try to take you briefly through all these 10 principles. The first principle is all about businesses should support and respect the protection of internationally acclaimed human rights. While you might have observed a lot of these in the news articles or in the papers, or even if you look at even the Indian environment, there have been a lot of issues on human rights. So here basically we are trying to look at what EFQM is trying to bring out through this model is that human rights are something that needs to be upholded by each and every organization. From the assessment perspective, what we can try to look at with a different perspective, which EFQM is trying to bring across to us, would be, today if you recollect, business is going global. All of us are operating across different places across the world. So this is where sometimes there would be a dichotomy in terms of running businesses, because many a times there are a lot of opportunities outside, but at the same time, whenever there is an opportunity, when we get into that particular place, we need to be clear as to whether are we also subscribing to any of the human rights or human right abuses that are likely to happen in that particular area, or probably that area might also be known. In fact, it has so happened that when we had discussions as a part of the upgrade programs in many of the companies, this fact did come out pretty explicitly that there are a lot of Indian companies which are doing businesses abroad in countries which have got pretty poor human rights. While there is definitely a business opportunity, and then there is also a commitment by the organization and sometimes even by the government, we as an organization, when we are subscribing ourselves to the excellence movement, it is imperative that we try to look at to what is the extent to which we make sure that we don't try to cross the border when it comes to human rights. So essentially it's all about coming back to the criteria. We can try to look at criterion 2A, especially from the model, wherein we are trying to look at the type of geographies or the markets in which we operate, as to what are the sort of human rights issues, if at all, if they are there, and then is there a possibility or even a remote chance that as an organization, probably we are also somewhere as a part of the value chain, are we connected to it? So this is something that we need to be careful. Coming to the Indian context again today, there are, as I said, businesses are global today because India is probably the sole supplier for many of the services or components, be it in the auto industry or in the engineering industry. Today we are seeing that in a widespread way. And also with the fact that information is available all across over the net, and today we are in a network world, everybody in the value chain would also be interested in terms of knowing from where their products are being made and under what conditions they are being made. If you just recollect, probably a few years back when there was a huge outrage with respect to Nike and Adidas, wherein they were trying to get the footwear manufactured in China for cost competitive reasons, where there were a lot of human rights violations, people working in very, very poor and unhygienic conditions. They did have to get into a lot of PR exercise to make sure that it does not go the wrong way, and then they also started correcting their own ways of trying to look at things. So the same thing could as well as happen as far as we are concerned. In fact, I would also want all of you to make a note of one small thing. As a part of the 2013 model, you will see when I take you through this program that essentially there are at least two to three main things that will be coming out as a part of this. One is with respect to agility. The model is focusing a lot on the agility of the leadership, agility of when it comes to strategy, when it comes to people processes, and when it comes to core and operational processes. One more element that you will see repeatedly that the model is harping on is an element of sustainability, which again you will see as a part of leadership, strategy, and many other places in the relevant criteria. The third one which prominently figures as a part of the current year's model is the use of the term value chain. While earlier also there was an emphasis in terms of the value chain, but as a part of the 2013 model it's been made much more explicit. You will find virtually the term value chain that is being talked about in each and every criteria. So this is something that we need to be keenly assessing as a part of the 2013 assessments. And also coming back to the first principle that we were talking about, as a business you might realize that you must get into the company that in which you are assessing. Might be a company probably somewhere upstream or downstream as a part of the value chain. As a part of that, they might have a lot of stakeholders who are there, where unknowingly or knowingly there might have been instances of human rights both upstream as well as downstream. So this is something that you can try to look at as a part of the assessment in the current year. But I would also want to draw your attention to a few more things, even though probably I wanted to speak about it probably closer to the end of the program. But still, nevertheless, since the point has come up, while the 2013 model is talking on the new elements of sustainability, value chain, and as I said, agility, while a few of the new requirements have come in, but the stand that CI has taken, and those of you who are going to probably listen to tomorrow's refresher or who have already attended the refresher programs, but for some reason you have not been able to attend the upgrade, I guess you must have been briefed either by CS or by Krishnan that while the assessment is going to be based on the 2013 model, we need not be unduly harsh on the applicant in terms of applying or putting all this into practice in the current year's assessment. Because the model, the revised EFQM model was launched somewhere in November last year, and then as far as India is concerned, CII, we started this only from January. From then onwards, we have been conducting various upgrade programs within the companies, both in the open as well as in the the in-company way. But most of the people, most of the applicants have started writing down their position reports from the month of March. So obviously it would have been very difficult for them to incorporate, first of all, understand, comprehend the importance of the changes, and then put them across as a part of the implementation. While you might see that few of the companies have already practicing this in some way or the other, they have probably been able to address that pretty well. But few of the companies would not have been possible for them to include all of them as a part of the current year's report. While you can definitely point out this particular thing needs to be attended to, and while it can appear as a part of the OFI, but please do bear in mind that this should not influence the scoring. That is, the applicant should not be penalized for not having attended to the new criterion as a part of the 2013. As far as these themes of sustainability and the other ones which I am trying to cover, these are concerned. So again, coming back to the human rights issues, the second point is also on human rights, making sure that the organizations are not complicit in any human right abuses. By complicit, what we mean to say is an organization might be involved knowingly or unknowingly in any sort of human rights abuses. It might be as a neighbor, or probably they might have got a direct business benefit out of it, or they might have got a business benefit, but probably they do not know that their products and services are being used as a part of abuse of human rights. So in various contexts, you can see that an organization may be active or probably silently complicit, or probably they might also be blissfully unaware. So, but whatever it is, in any of those circumstances, a violation of a human right abuse is something that organizations would need to come out. So it's all about how well organizations understand their external environment, and then try to see more of what does the law of the land particularly says about human rights, and what are some of the statutes or the laws that are governing in that particular area. For example, if you look at the terms of employment in terms of let us say age, there are a lot of variations in various countries, both developed as well as developed, in terms of who can be employed for working. Few of the countries would mandate that somebody as young as probably 13 or 14 years can be used, or they can be working, but probably they should only be doing light work. Medium work, again, the age varies. Heavy work, again, it varies. So these are things that change from country to country, continent to continent. So this is something that we need to be very clear, that both as applicants as well as assessors, make sure that if I'm to reconnect this to a particular criterion, make sure that you get into criterion 2A, wherein you know your external environment well, and have you subscribed to the rules and the regulations and on the laws of the land, especially in terms of any other human rights abuses. So this what is the bottom line when it comes to the first two principles. Coming to the third principle, it says that businesses should uphold the freedom of association and effective recognition of their rights to collective bargaining. I guess this is at least something that has been done pretty well over the years in the Indian industry, because in most of the organizations they do have, if you are looking at a manufacturing outfit, they do have probably a union. If you are looking at probably some other industries where there is no formal union, but of course the views of the needs and expectations of the people are being factored into, even though formally there might not be something called as a union wherein some bargaining is definitely happening. But more or less this is something that we have already seen as embedded pretty well in the Indian environment. So this is one of the other fundamental principles. invariably these would get addressed as a part of criterion 3A in the model, where we say that do the organizations have a dialogue with their own people in terms of trying to look at policies and practices, and do they also try to encourage people to come and group and come together in terms of probably helping out the organization to make much more constructive policies. Again, the fourth principle is also on the labor. Elimination of all forms of forced and compulsory labor. While as I said, we are pretty sure that this is something an organization which is subscribing to the excellence movement is would have obviously taken care of this, and this is also already being taken care of as a part of the legislation. So probably there would not be anything much for us to try to look into as far as this the fourth principle is concerned. Next, coming to the other principles, there is one more on the effective abolition of child labor, and this is also something that, as I said, which is already mandated by the law, and we don't have issues to do with it. So I would probably not discuss too much on that. But only one small point for your consideration is the fact that as a part of the value chain, whenever you are trying to get into the assessment, probably there might be an opportunity wherein you are trying to go to the stakeholder, probably going to the vendor. You need to make sure that the applicant, somewhere if you look at in the model also says that somewhere in criterion 4A, more so probably the second or the third bullet in criterion 4A, where the model also tells us as to whether we are trying to make sure that the entire value chain who is associated with us are also believe in the sort of values or the beliefs that we share with. So as an applicant, let's say you are as a part of the excellence movement, it is implied that you try to make sure that nobody in the supply chain violates these human rights when it comes to child labor. Probably we might have seen in many organizations when we go out in terms of the context of an assessment, when you go over when you are probably out on a vendor visit, you would see that probably for some sort of segregation or probably for some sort of a deburring or some of the manual activities, child labor being employed. This is something that probably applicants, I'm sure that they would have already been, they would be looking forward to taking out such practices. So this is where the importance of the value chain would also come in, that you need to go and look at processes beyond the boundary of the organization as to whether these are also being adhered to. So that is a small point when it comes to the first principle, what you are seeing on the screen with respect to that effective abolition of the child labor. The next one is on the elimination of discrimination with respect to employment and occupation. This again is a well-established one because this comes in embedded as a part of the model in criterion 3A, wherein we try to have our HR policies and processes, wherein as a part of a fair recruitment policy that exists, organizations do have systems in place to make sure that employment and occupation are not biased in any way. Coming to the next one, I guess a little bit much more important one, wherein we need to look into a little bit keenly, that businesses should support a precautionary approach to environmental challenges. Well, we do have a lot of applicants or organizations who are coming in for the assessment as assessors. There might be a possibility that we do encounter such things. But if you're looking at this particular principle of precautionary approach, the principle of precautionary approach states that it is better to err on the on the positive side, trying to look at probably let's say there could be a potential business opportunity, but for the lack of scientific evidence or rationale, that should not become an opportunity for us to go ahead and try to do something which would probably alter some of the tenets of sustainability. So this is where we need to look at how organizations are adopting a precautionary approach. Just to give you a small example of what happened probably just a month back. If you look at the Uttarakhand episode, A lot of organizations who have probably have huge investments in terms of those power plants in those areas where probably a precautionary approach to environmental challenges probably would have been pretty useful. While they might have been cleared by the Ministry of Environment and Forests, while they might have had a legal opinion and also a legal consent to operate, but nevertheless, as an excellent organization, you are required to look at the precautionary approach and make sure that you are not violating any principles of sustainability. So that's the first thing when it comes to sustainability, adopting a precautionary approach in terms of making the world a sustainable one, leaving something for the future generations. Coming to the next point again, there are 3 points over here when it comes to environment. So the environment and the sustainability. The second one is on undertaking initiatives to promote greater environmental responsibility. And this is something that the model has been harping about from the last 2010 model onwards. In 2013, it becomes much more pronounced. When we say undertake initiatives to promote greater environmental responsibility, we can try to look at how is the organization having a policy or a framework in terms of discharging greater environmental responsibility. For example, just to make a mention, probably a company could have a goal in terms of saying that probably from the current year onwards, we will be moving more towards probably a greener product portfolio. Probably where 30% of our products are probably much more closer when it comes to, as I said, green technologies. So that might be a small way or an approach. The approach could be shown in terms of probably having a policy or a guideline for their products or for their services down the line, and then by the adoption of good environmental practices, sustainable practices. So these are some of the things that you are already seeing that a lot of organizations are adopting this. So this is more of that. And then coming a little bit down the line to the last but one bullet point on encouraging the development and diffusion of environmental friendly technologies. This is more of trying to look at their own roadmap with respect to, it could be product development or it could be adoption of different technologies. How well is the organization adapting to the fact that they are trying to go green in terms of the technology what they are using. But one more thing that we also need to look at here is not be overtly critical on environmental. While environmental friendly technologies need to be adopted, need to be implemented, there is also something that as an assessor you must also try to look at the context of the applicant. Make sure that you look at what sort of industry that you are looking at, because environmental friendly technology, adoption of environmental friendly technology could mean different things to different applicants. For somebody probably who is in an appliances business, probably it could be different. For somebody who is in coal or probably somebody who is in steel, the gestation period for adopting an environmental friendly technology could be a little bit different. So this is where how the assessor analyzes the particular sector and takes such issues into consideration would also be important. But if you look at broadly these 3 principles to do with environment and sustainability, the first one, the precautionary approach, is more at a project level or at a much more higher level even before you start the activity. The second one is more of a policy and an intent statement as to what is it that you are intending to do or practice as a part of trying to discharge your environmental responsibility. And the third one is more of an implementation. From the policy you come down to the implementation. That is where you start from probably even design, or it could be in terms of selection of materials, or it could be the type of processing. It could be it could mean various things when it comes to the implementation. So these are some of the 3, I would say, pretty important points when it comes to sustainability and environment. And then of course the last one, I'm not going to speak much about it. It talks about businesses should work against corruption in all its forms, including extortion and bribery. And these are some things that are set out as tenets or value systems in most of the companies. So to sum it up, these were the 10 principles which the UNGC is asking organizations to adopt. And what EFQM or probably the CII way of looking at it is, any practitioner of any excellence model, be it a EFQM, Albert Baldrige, or probably be it the CI or any of the hybrids, whatever it is, anybody who is following an excellence model, we assume that that particular organization is going to respect and comply to the 10 principles of the Global Compact, regardless of whether it is legally obliged to do so. So meaning to say that we are trying to leave the message that excellence is something that goes beyond compliance. So organizations which are subscribing to the excellence philosophy should make a positive impact and should make sure that they are trying to live through all these 10 principles. So that's about the basis for the model. So you would realize that when we have gone through these 10 principles, invariably all these do get addressed somewhere or the other in the model. It is only incidental that EFQM is just trying to bring to us the fact that from where the model is coming in, majority of the, I would say quite a few of the fundamental concepts are all linked up to the higher one. That's what we saw just now as a part of the basis for the model. More information on how these 10 principles could be applied, practiced, and what it means with respect to different contexts. You can probably Google, you can go to UNGC, wherein you will find examples of you will find an elaboration of all these 10 concepts or these 10 principles, and there are a lot of examples that have been listed as to how you can practice this in your company, how you can implement this in your own organizations. So I would urge you to just go back and have a look at it more from an academic perspective. At the same time, I would also want to leave with you a point that while we are just talking about the basis for the model, just to understand as to where is the genesis for a few of the fundamental concepts, but please remember in mind that we are not going to assess any organization on the 10 principles what we just now saw. This is more of just trying to set the context, understand the big picture, but we are definitely not going to assess any organization on these 10 principles. But the model itself makes sure that as a part of the 9-box model, somewhere all these 10 principles are interwoven somewhere into one criterion or the other. So that was about the basis for the model. So this concludes the first portion of what we wanted to discuss as a part of today's webinar. We will go across to the second portion of the program, that's on the fundamental concepts of excellence. So I would request your attention on to page number 3 of the model, or probably I would also want you to get into page number 4. It starts with the diagrammatic representation of the fundamental concepts, followed by the elaboration on them. I'll try to take you through what the changes are. And also let me also remind you that probably it's already, we started somewhere close to around 10:05 or 10:10. We will be having a small break, let's say at around 11 o'clock. So there is definitely a break. Please do not get unduly worried that you will need to sit for pretty long hours. So we'll come to the fundamental concepts of excellence. I request your attention onto this particular slide. If you look at the fundamental concepts of excellence, basically the structure has not changed much when compared to the 2010 to the 2013 model. The atomic structure stays, and almost the visual representation has also not changed much if you look at it from a bird's eye view. But then there are a few finer changes. I would want to draw your attention to those. While you might not have a copy of the 2010 model next to you, I'm sure that you will be having only the 2013 model. But then past is past, you don't really need to get into that. But just for academic reasons, I would like to bring to your notice as to what has been the change from the 2010 to the 2013 model with respect to the fundamental changes. So if you are starting from the clockwise direction, it starts with adding value for customers. Whereas earlier it was starting with achieving balanced results. One of the first things that you would note between the 2010 to the 2013 model is there has been some amount of rearrangement and realignment of how the fundamental concepts have been depicted. So mainly because what EFQM thought was that it is quite a natural and probably a human tendency that we always start looking out from the right side. We try to go in a clockwise direction. So there was, it was also many of the people were of the opinion that the fundamental concepts that are most important are the ones that are starting clockwise. So that was also what was the impression. So EFQM has chosen to make sure that it corrects that particular anomaly. Now what you are seeing is all the fundamental concepts, if you look at, they are being realigned based on the alphabetical order. You would see adding value for customers followed by creating and then developing, harnessing. You will see that all the fundamental concepts have been reoriented based on the alphabetical order. This is the first change that you will see. This is only to re-emphasize the fact that it is not that one is more important than the other. All of them need to be given the equal due, equal importance. All the 8 are equally important. There is nothing called as something which is very important or least important. So all the 8 of them need to be practiced and adhered to in the same way. So that's one point when it comes to the structuring. Next we will go on. I will try to discuss on each and every fundamental concept and then try to help you out in terms of understanding whether there has been a minor change or whether there has been a major change, and then why or what is the rationale or the logic behind that particular change. Coming to the very first one, adding value to customers. Now adding value to customers was a fundamental concept that was there in the 2013 model and also in the 2010 model also. In fact, this is one of the two fundamental concepts where there is absolutely no change when it comes to the wording of the fundamental concept plus the meaning, the content and the intent as laid out. For example, if you go to your page number 4 in the model, you would see those 7 bullet points. The tone of all the 7 bullet points continue to be the same as it was in the earlier model in 2010. So the first fundamental concept of adding value to customers has not undergone any change whatsoever in terms of the way that it is articulated, plus also the intent and the content of the fundamental concept. Next we move on to the second one about creating a sustainable future. Now just to draw your attention, in the previous model it was talking about taking responsibility for a sustainable future. Now if you look at from taking responsibility, it has been taken up to one more plane above, which is talking about creating a sustainable future. While the earlier 2010 model was also harping on the action orientation, this is probably much more, it is compelling you to do so. From taking responsibility for a sustainable future, now the onus is on the organizations to create that sustainable future. So taking responsibility was more of a initiative or a policy thought. From then onwards to now, the emphasis is more on creating or putting it into practice. So the model, the fundamental concept has gone one notch above. That is what is the interpretation of creating a sustainable future. Coming to the third one, developing organizational capability. Now, if you look at developing organizational capability, this is something that is a little bit changed, to say so. Just a moment. So the developing organizational capability, this is a totally new fundamental concept. I would just want you to just recollect as to which is the one probably that must have changed. I'll just pause for a minute, just try to think about which is the fundamental concept that this is replacing. if you look at developing organizational capability, this has been replaced by the earlier fundamental concept of building partnerships. While I would want to reiterate that it is not that building partnerships has been taken out of the model. Building partnerships still is an integral part of criterion 4A, but the total, if you look at why this has been re-articulated, it is more of trying to look at the fundamental concept has been made much more broader and much more deeper and wider in terms of the applicability. You can develop organizational capability both internally as well as externally. You can try to connect with your value chain and try to make sure that you are developing organizational capability externally as well as internally. That's the reason why the earlier fundamental concept of building partnerships has been now replaced by a totally new fundamental concept of developing organizational capability. Now let me try to take you through the next one. That's on harnessing creativity and innovation. Now the earlier fundamental concept, if I'm trying to take you back, it was talking about nurturing creativity and innovation. From nurturing, now the focus is more on harnessing creativity and innovation. So again, very similar to that what we discussed as a part of that sustainable future. Earlier the onus was more on, if you look at the onus was on nurturing creativity and innovation. This time it is more of trying to harness that much better. So it probably the lighter way of looking at it is, yes, probably you have done enough of nurturing. Now it's time that you get your act together. So it's from nurturing, it's gone up one level to harnessing creativity and innovation. Next, we will go to the next fundamental concept, leading with vision, inspiration, and integrity. There is also one more thing that you can also look at, which probably may ease your, which you will also be able to connect pretty easily. Adding value to customers and leading with vision, inspiration, and integrity. These are the only two fundamental concepts which have not undergone any change whatsoever. Even as I said, in terms of the intent, in terms of the content, or in terms of most of the tone of the bullet points, these are the only two fundamental concepts where there is nothing that has been changed in terms of the articulation and the content. Next, we move on to the next fundamental concept, that's managing with agility. Now, very similar to developing organizational capability, managing with agility is also a totally new fundamental concept. Again, I'll pause for a moment, try to look at which of the earlier fundamental concept has been replaced. Okay, sorry, there was a brief interruption because I was not very sure whether I had gone off air, so just wanted to reconfirm with my IT resource. So I guess we are back. So just going back to the other fundamental concept that I was talking about with respect to managing with agility. If you recollect, the earlier one was on managing by processes. While managing by processes is very much there, and then just to reconnect back to the criterion 5A, the focus and the the emphasis that was there on process management still continues to be there on criterion 5A. Now considering the changes, whatever happened from 2010 to 2013, if you look at the external environment, if you look at how things have changed, probably from 2009 to 2013, we have already seen 2 recessions. So we need to be agile with respect to many of the processes. So that's where the fundamental concept has undergone one more change, while managing by processes has now become managing with agility. You will see as I take you through the model that agility needs to be demonstrated as a part of leadership, as a part of strategy, as a part of processes, as a part of many other places, as a part even of technology management. You will see that there are many places in the model where the model is asking you to be agile with respect to marketing, with respect to organizational structures. There are quite a few examples where agility has been brought in explicitly in the model. So that's again on the other fundamental concept. Coming to succeeding through the talent of people, again this, even though there has been only a small change with respect to the fundamental concepts, the way that it is articulated, but most of the points, whatever were there in the guidance points that were there as a part of the 2010 model, still continue to remain. So again, not much of a change except for the word talent, because based on the feedback from both the assessors, applicants, and then the practicing community, probably the need, as we understand from EFQM, as what came out as a message was talent management was not being adopted as a process in the organization. So this time around the focus is more on, while succeeding through people was very generic, and now there is also a tinge of trying to make sure that while you are succeeding through people, you need to make sure that you are able to, keep talent management in your mind when you are trying to address this. So in 3B this time around, there is a new point on talent management, exclusive bullet point that talks about talent management as a process, beginning from how is it that you are trying to attract talent, how is it that you are trying to develop talent, grow talent, and then also make sure that you retain talent. So there is a lot of emphasis when it comes to talent management. But those of you who have done a lot of assessments, you would recollect that there were quite a few strengths and OFIs on talent management per se in many of the assessments, even though the model in 3A was never speaking explicitly about talent management as a process. So I'm sure that these things are already there, but if it's been missed out, it is just for you to recollect that there has to be an emphasis on talent management. So this is on this fundamental concept. Coming to the last one, they will talk about sustaining outstanding results. Sustaining outstanding results, here again, earlier the fundamental concept was talking about achieving balanced results. So when you are saying achieving balanced results and then sustaining outstanding results, it is just a very small or a finer change, because this time around balanced was pretty confusing to many of the people. People were interpreting balanced in different ways. Balance from the CI perspective is balance with respect to lead and lag indicators, balance with respect to all the stakeholders, and then balance with respect to probably even we would say lead indicators and then lag indicators. Balance can be seen in short term, long term. There could be across different things. So here the emphasis is more on sustaining outstanding results. Now if you look at these two words, outstanding would imply that whatever results are that what we are trying to see in an organization, they should be of a higher order. That is, earlier if you recollect, there was one more word called as superior levels of performance. So we are trying to look at how is it that organizations are able to first show superior levels of performance. Once they have achieved that superior level of performance, how is it that they are going to continue in that over a period of time. So the word outstanding stands out, and you will also see as a part of the current year's model that we are also talking about a global role model in terms of probably processes, also in terms of results. So that is where this time around the change in terms of the wording of sustaining outstanding results. In fact, the model also says that as a part of the radar for results, it talks about, do you see a sustainable trend being exhibited in the last 3 years? So the focus is not only on results. If you are already a mature company, then it also is imperative that you make sure that you sustain that high level of performance, whatever you have exhibited, and you continue to do the same over a period of time. So these are the points that we have as a part of the fundamental concepts of excellence. Just I'll try to sum up now on the fundamental concepts of excellence. There are two concepts that have not changed. One is adding value to customers. The other is leading with vision, inspiration, and integrity, where I said neither has a fundamental concept undergone a change in terms of the intent, content, as well as with respect to the wording. And then there are two fundamental concepts that are totally new, totally different. One is developing organizational capability. The next one is managing with agility. The other fundamental concepts of creating a sustainable future, harnessing that creativity and innovation, and then succeeding through the talent of people and sustaining outstanding results. These are the four that have undergone some amount of change in terms of the articulation and the wording. So this is on the changes to the fundamental concepts. So in the next portion, we will be discussing about very briefly on what are the changes in these fundamental concepts, and then on to the model. So that's what we will try to take in the upcoming session. So I guess on my watch over here, we are close to around 11 o'clock. So just take a pause. I'll just take a pause. I request you to take a small, probably a break, not more than 4 or 5 minutes max. We will be starting again at 11:05, 5 minutes from now on your watch. So just a break for you to stretch out and then come back for the next session. In the meanwhile, in case if you have some questions, kindly feel free to type it out on the question box, and I'll also try to take those questions in between, since we don't have, as I said, a very big audience today. So in case of any doubts, please feel free to type out your questions. Sir, I guess most of the people have joined back. I see that almost all of you are online. So we will go across to the next session wherein we are trying to draw your attention to the fundamental concepts of excellence, and again where there have been a few changes. So I would request now request your attention on to the fundamental concepts of excellence. Please come down to page number 4 of the excellence model booklet on the adding value to customers. So I would request you to just quickly browse through the 7 points, whatever are there, just more of refreshing yourself, because I'm sure that once you get back post the webinar mode, it would be very difficult for all of you to again get into the book. So just I'll pause for a couple of moments and just go through that, and then I'll try to sum up whatever the changes are. But as I said, as far as this fundamental concept is concerned, there has not been any change whatsoever when it comes to, as I said, both the intent as well as the content. So I just try to sum up this one. So adding value to customers still as a part of the EFQM model. Adding value to customers, predominantly you will see it in criterion 5B as a part of new product development, 5C as a part of the sales and marketing, 5D as a part of the product and service delivery, and 5E for customer relationship management or CRM. So essentially all these points, whatever you are going to see over here, majority of them would be found across as a part of either 5B to 5E. So the key focus still continues to be on understanding the needs and expectations, and also anticipating the latent needs, and then making sure that you have a process to fulfill the needs, expectations, and also opportunities, whatever are there, of both the existing and potential customer groups, so as to consistently add value to the stakeholder who is the customer as far as this fundamental concept is concerned. So I'll go to the next one. So just trying to say that there has been no change as far as this fundamental concept is concerned. Now here is one more additional slide where I would want you to just have a look at. What we have done is, generally we used to use this slide more in our facilitators program as far as the implementation is concerned. And just now I told you that in the EFQM model we try to look at how we add value to customers in criterion 5, B, C, D, and E. So what you are seeing is the 7 the bullets, or the guidance points, what you are seeing under adding value to customers in the fundamental concepts in page 4, they have all been connected to a particular sub-criterion. So that's what is this. What we have tried to do is try to de-jargonize each one of them. Rather, we have not used the model-centric words. We have tried to make sure that we use a simpler wording so that it is much more actionable to the applicant, as well as it's not very vague to the assessor. So I would request your attention, just kindly read through that. I'll pause for a couple of moments. So I guess you have gone through that. So I will try to go ahead with the next fundamental concept. So the next fundamental concept is on creating a sustainable future, which, as I said, is pretty important. There are a few things that have changed as a part of the criteria. Now the key focus as far as the 2013 model is concerned is to make sure that the organization is able to enhance its performance with respect to sustainability, and there is also a guidance point which says that an excellent organization will strive to advance the economic, environmental, and the social conditions within its sector, so as to create a positive impact. So again, I would request your attention onto the next slide. I would want you to look at page number 5, wherein we have the bullets listed under the fundamental concept of creating a sustainable future, and also try to relate to the points which we have listed, which is, as I said, is more of a dejargonized version, and we have also tried to make an attempt to connect it to that particular the guidance points. I would request you to look into it. But the tone of this, if you look at, is especially in the last post the sentence wherein we have tried to give you the criterion number, you will see here that sustainability is talked about in 1A as a part of the vision itself, and as a part of the strategy in 2C. It comes as a part of change management. It comes as a part of external networking with the stakeholders through the leadership. It gets again addressed as a part of product development and as a part of the product or the service delivery. And in the last, it is also talking something on asset management as well. So I'll pause for a moment. Please read through each of these bullet points. So here, just a moment, I would request you to, in case if you have your course notes, you can also make a small note over here. Point number 3 is something that's new. It is talking about integrating sustainability concepts with your strategy, value chain, process design, and also make sure about allocating resources for the same. So point number 3 is a new guidance point, and post that again, if you come to point number 9, it is also talking about how is it that as an organization you are trying to promote or you are trying to be the leading light in terms of adoption of sustainability concepts in your own sector. So that's being talked about from the criterion 4C point of view. So I'll take you through the next fundamental concept, developing organizational capability. Now if you look at developing organizational capability, as I said, this is a totally new fundamental concept. A lot of changes over here. I would want to request your attention onto this. The focus areas where we have mentioned over here, the key focus, the 3 bullet points, whatever have been mentioned, of enhancing capabilities, building networks, collaboration, focus on partners, value chains. These are some of the new points which are being emphasized. More of this, again, I would want you to get into page number 5 of the excellence model, plus also read each one of these dejargonized words what we have put up for you. I'll pause for a couple of moments. Once you are done, then I'm going to talk about or probably inform you about what are some of the final changes or the emphasis that has been brought in as a part of this fundamental concept. Okay, we have already gone through that. Just a couple of points over here. Please look at the point number 2, which is talking about developing an effective and an efficient value chain to deliver on the value proposition. This was there earlier also, but more so since the emphasis is more on the value chain, you need to focus a little bit more on that. And then if you look at the last point, that is point number 7, it is talking about establishing networks, identifying partnerships, and enhance the capability. So it is more about establishing networks to develop organizational capability and also partnerships so that you can use it for the organization's benefit in terms of enhanced capability management and generating additional stakeholder value as well. So this is on the developing organizational capability. Next we'll go across to the next one on harnessing creativity and innovation. Here again, just to give you a preview of what this particular fundamental concept is all about, plus again where the emphasis of the changes is on trying to make sure that you are involving all your stakeholders across different processes for harnessing creativity and innovation. It could be your suppliers, it could be your partners, it could be your customers, it could be the society, it could be your academic partners, it could be anyone. So make sure that you engage your stakeholders and then establish learning networks. When you're saying a learning network need not be only internal or it need not be only external. It can be a combination of both of them. And then for harnessing the creativity and innovation, the model is also asking you to set goals, and setting goals was there in the previous model, but here it also is talking about generating and testing ideas more from the leadership perspective, and also try to make sure that you are able to prioritize and implement those ideas so that you don't lose out much and you gain. So that's what is the focus when it comes to harnessing creativity and innovation. Request your attention now to page number 6 of the fundamental concept of harnessing creativity and innovation, and also I would want you to look at the bullet points whatever we have listed, and I'll pause for a moment again for you to go back and look into this. So again, coming back to this, a couple of points for your attention is, look at the first point. It is talking about establishing mechanisms to engage all the stakeholders to use collective knowledge. So that's the emphasis is on criterion 4E, and it is also talking about setting up learning networks to gather ideas for innovation as a part of, again, information and knowledge management in criterion 4E. So this is also a new guidance point. And again, the third one is also a new guidance point wherein it is much more broader. It is talking about understanding that innovation applies to not only products and services, it can also apply to processes, it can apply to marketing structures, it can apply to organizational structures and new business models. So these are, and then I would also want to draw your attention to point number 5 and 6, where this is a totally new point. You are seeing that this is coming in the leadership criterion, especially under change management, where it is now imperative on the leadership to use and define methods for idea generation, and then set up methods to test ideas, allocate resources and convert them so as to not lose and on the benefits and leverage that creative and innovative ideas to the hilt. And then it also talks about, while many organizations do have a process for idea generation, but where they really lose out is in terms of the speed. and that's where actually agility is also coming into picture. If you look at the last bullet point over here, the model is also focusing on implementing ideas in a time-bound manner so as to not to lose the benefits whatever you are going to achieve. If you are not able to do it in that particular time frame, you might run the risk of not what you're having only suboptimal benefits. That's one more point. So on this there are nearly around 2-3 changes. While these changes are there, I definitely make sure that when we go further to the model, I will just recap as to which are the changes that are there in the model. Now predominantly we are just trying to understand where exactly the guidance points have got changed. I will try to recap this in the 9-box model later so that it can help you also in your assessments. So again, we go to the next fundamental concept, leading with vision, inspiration, and integrity. Not much has changed over here. As I said, this is also one of the fundamental concepts where the intent, the content, the bullet points have not changed much, but only thing is you can also realize that it is also talking about agility. If you look at the third one, it is talking about learning quickly and then responding rapidly to the challenges, which is more of a trait of agility which you need to show. So for a moment again, I'll pause, request your attention on to whatever is being displayed on the screen. Go through all those the fundamental concepts which have been de-jargonized, where we also try to give you a connect to the model. So hope you have been able to go through that. So there is not much of a change. So I'll just leave it as it is. I'll go to the next fundamental concept. Next again, we are going into the next fundamental concept of managing with agility, where the key focus with respect to this fundamental concept is more on trying to identify changes and translate strategies into processes, structures, what I told you where there has been a small change. But as I earlier indicated, the focus on criterion 5A on process management still continues to remain. Only a couple of small changes over here, especially if you are looking at the last bullet, it is talking about using technology and also improve the process agility. So quickly, I will want you to go to the next slide, look at all these 7 bullet points, and then also the corresponding the sub-criteria numbers, after which I will tell you where the changes have occurred as a part of this fundamental concept. Now quickly I want to draw your attention to a few of the major changes that are there as a part of this fundamental concept. In fact, there are quite a few over here. Look at the very first point, use mechanisms, identify changes and develop potential scenarios. Now this change is coming as a part of criterion 2A4. Earlier scenario planning was definitely there in 2C, even now it continues to be there. But here it is more about a process of element of agility, because if you are looking at what has happened in the last 2-3 years, the type of changes that have happened as a part of the economy, it is imperative that while you are trying to scan the external environment, you need to develop potential scenarios even at that stage. It could be, you can also try to, make a connection to the fact that, let's say, for example, if you're looking at the volatility of the rupee, if you're looking at the commodities, if you're looking at raw materials, it is possible for you to look at developing potential scenarios as a part of criterion 2A, as a part of scanning the external environment, even before getting onto the table for your strategy formulation in 2C. So that's where developing potential scenarios is a new inclusion in criterion 2A4. And then coming to the second one, translate strategies into aligned processes. So here the theme is on strategy can be deployed as either as a process, or you can see it being implemented as a part of a project or as a structure, to make sure that again you are seeing that the emphasis is also there on the value chain. So the point number 2 is important, new one, translate strategies into aligned processes, project structures, and ensure speedy implementation across the value chain. And then few other new ones, I would say that look into all the 3, especially the last 3, 5, 6, 7, all the 3 are new. It is talking about how is it that you are trying to manage change using structured project management and focused improvement. So this is coming as a part of leadership, as to how leadership is driving change management either through projects or through focused process improvements, depending on the context of the organization. So point number 5 is totally new. Point number 6 is also a new guidance point, wherein managing with agility, one of the trait is also to try to see how is it the organization is rapidly adapting its organizational structure in terms of achievement of a strategic goal. Let's say it could be trying to put up a new marketing structure depending on the type of market that you are entering, or it could be in terms of totally spinning off a new business unit with a totally different structure. So that is where the link is also being given to criterion 3A. And if you are looking at the last one, technologies are changing. For those of you who are from the IT/ITES sector, probably things are much more faster than probably in the manufacturing sector. It also tries to talk about developing and use of a technology portfolio to improve the agility of the processes. So this is where trying to leverage technology to improve agility of the processes, you will be able to see this in criteria 4D. So this is about managing with agility. So we come to the next fundamental concept of succeeding through the talent of people. Again, as I said, predominantly there has not been much of a change over here, just a couple of changes, and I'll brief you on what they are, but I'll pause for a moment, try to read through all the 9 points over here, then I'll try to share with you as to which are the ones that are changed in the 2013 model. So if we have gone through that, let me just try to share with you what are the changes over here. Look at the second point, which I told you is a new one. It is talking about a plan to attract, develop, and maintain talent needed to meet the needs in 3B2. This is where the specific emphasis is on talent management. This is one small change. The next change is in the fourth point, which is talking about a healthy work-life balance. While the earlier model was also talking about a healthy work-life balance, Here it says that the just a subtle change what has been brought about as a part of the model is considering globalization and the different ways of working, where we are required to be mobile, to be connected to the business 24/7. It is also imperative that the organization has a policy in terms of how is it that it is trying to help employees have a good work-life balance. So this is about one more change that has come in as a part of this fundamental concept. So we come to the last one on sustaining outstanding results. As I told you, except for the word which has been rephrased from achieving balanced results to sustaining outstanding results, the most of the change you would see is more in the radar rather than on any of the processes over here. So just again for a couple of moments I will pause, go to these again to all these points, just try to refresh yourself with this fundamental concept, and I'll try to tell you what is it that has been changed over here. Well, coming back to this fundamental concept, there is, as I told you, except for the wording, the titling of changing from balanced results to sustaining outstanding results, but there is nothing much that is changed as a part of all the points that have been listed as a part of the fundamental concept. Again, the small change what you will see is more in the radar for results, wherein you will see a word called as confidence, which can be associated with bullet point number 7 over here, where it is trying to talk about delivering stakeholder confidence. And then also there have been a lot of discussions on what do you understand by non-financial reporting. Coming to the 8th point, it also talks about ensuring transparency of financial and non-financial reporting. You can show non-financial reporting in terms of probably it could be a sustainable report, or it could be in terms of a the report that you upload for your GRI. These are all some of the examples wherein you can also try to look at non-financial reporting to the stakeholders, which essentially is an initiative that is driven by the leadership. That's exactly the reason why you're finding it in criterion 1C, because this is non-financial reporting or sustainable reporting, or those are some of the initiatives which you are trying to connect your stakeholders in a much more bigger way. So that is again one more small point for your consideration over here. So with this we have concluded almost all the fundamental concepts and what are all the changes that are there as a part of that. So with this particular background, I will want to take you into the model plus the associated changes as to where to find it. But since we have already discussed elaborately on what the changes are relating to the fundamental concepts where they are seen, so here I'll only make a passing remark or a mention as to where exactly you will find this in the criterion, because since I've already elaborated on that, it is more now to try to see where it actually plugs and fits in as far as the model is concerned. Now coming to the visual representation of the model that you are seeing on the screen over here, there is again not much of a change. The 9-box model still continues to remain the same, the 5 boxes of the enablers and the 4 boxes of the results, and then the enablers driving the results, and even in terms of the points that have been allocated to the enablers and the results, there has been no change whatsoever from the 2010 to the 2013 model. The only small change what you are seeing is in changing the name from key results to business results. This is the only minor modification, but while the name has been changed to business results, but the tone of 9A and 9B still continue to be the same as it was earlier. But why the name changed from key results to business results? Just because of the fact that there was an aberration, like if you recollect, in people results, customer results and society results, somewhere the model asks us why you are presenting a bouquet of results. Out of the bouquet of results in people results, which are your key results? Out of the lot of results what you are presenting in customer results in 6, then what are your key results? So the emphasis was more on what are the key results out of the so many results whatever you are presenting as a part of either 6 or 7 or 8. Now when you apply the same logic to criterion 9, then it becomes key results in key results, so which is more of a misnomer. So they have corrected this anomaly. So instead of calling it as key results, now they have rephrased it or represented it as business results. So within business results, now you can find what are the key business results. So it is more to align to that particular logic. So it's only a, I would say, a very cosmetic change, nothing in terms of the intent and the content. So now I will quickly go through or capture whatever we discussed as a part of the fundamental concepts. Now I'll try to quickly capture them as a part of the 9-box model. Please open the criteria number 1 in your booklet. Get into your page number 10. So in page number 10, one of the first things that strikes out is under leadership. If you're looking at the model, it says EFQM criterion definition. It earlier in the 2010 model, it was only talking about a criterion definition. Now it says EFQM criterion definition. The difference being earlier it was more of when you Google leadership, you will find hundreds of results, hundreds of definitions of leadership. What EFQM is wanting to say is, this is how EFQM views leadership as, this is what we define as leadership. And so the what has been done in all the enablers, you will find that there is everything starting with the word EFQM criterion definition. So that is one significant change what you will see. And next, criterion 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D and 1E. There have not been any changes whatsoever in terms of the sub-criterion, the way that they have been worded. It is very much the same as it was in the 2010 model. So 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, all of them, the emphasis or the focus points still continue to remain the same. Now let's come to this particular slide where I would want to draw your attention to. This is a slide which we have, what we have done is, after understanding the intention of the model, we have tried to put it across in a simple way as to how to, as an assessor, how you need to understand the model. As a person who is implementing this, what is it that you need to do? So we have tried to convert the jargon of the model into much more actionable terms. Now I'll just try to share with you as to how to understand this particular slide. Now let us say, for example, let me take 1C. What you need to do is you just need to match the first bracket, the word that is given in the first bracket on the left hand side to the first bracket on the right hand side. Like for example, as I said, 1C, use approaches. For what? For example, establish what? Establish shared values and accountability. Be transparent and accountable, again in what? In reporting. Ensure and encourage what? Stakeholder participation. So likewise, we have given you a list of how to understand this model and how to apply this model in a non-generic or in a, what do you say, taking out the model specific word, we have tried to make it much more simple. So you can probably read this at your leisure. Just for your sake, I'll read one more. For example, if you're looking at 1B, It says inspire. Inspire whom? Inspire people. Create what? Create a culture of excellence. Recognize what? Sustainable advantage. Support whom? Support people. Recognize what? Effort and achievements. Promote what? New ideas, new thinking. Encourage what? Equal opportunity and diversity. So this is how you need to understand whatever is written in brackets. But the only submission to you is, please do not look at an exact one-to-one replica. There could be one-to-one, that could also be one-to-many, or that could even be one-to-two. For example, when you are saying encourage, it could be for encouraging new ideas and new thinking, as well as encouraging equal opportunities and diversity also. So it need not necessarily be limited only to one bracket. It can be 1:1, or it can be 1:2, or it can also be 1:many. So this is something for you to look at it later. Now similarly, going to criterion 2, which is talking about strategy. Again, 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D have not changed. So it still continues to remain the same. But however, I will pause for a moment. Just try to read each one of them again. Again, read them bracket to bracket. For example, 2A, gather and remain alert to what stakeholder needs. Identify, analyze, understand, and anticipate what. One is external indicators, and second one is changes to the PESTEL framework. Use what? Use effective mechanisms to identify changes in the external environment. Translate changes into what? Into future scenarios. So try to look at this way. So again, as I said, I will just leave this aside. So it is more for you to look at 3A, what is how to make use of the criterion, what is the criteria actually asking you to do. So this is more of a note for you or a guidance for you to look at how to implement the model, and also how to assess an organization trying to de-jargonize. But your only, what do you say, a point of concern is, please do not take this as a checklist for auditing. Make sure that you use this information for understanding the model and then also for implementing the model. So I will skip these slides because it is more for your own understanding. It is more given more as a resource for you to understand. So for each of the 5 criterion, we have given you as to how to understand the model in a de-jargonized manner for both assessing as well as from the implementation perspective. So this is what is a new element that we brought to you for your understanding. Now with this, I will take you on to the result criterion. Well, before going to the result criterion, since I have taken you roughly through this, now quickly it will be something like a small rapid fire session. I would request you to come back to your page number 10 in the excellence model. Quickly, I will reel out what are the changes in the 2013 model in the criterion. Let's say, if I say 1A3 or 1A4, then you will need to make that relevant change or that mark over there. So I'll probably within the next couple of minutes, I will take you through what the changes are, because we already discussed about that. It is more of only trying to look at where exactly it would come in. So your attention on to page number 10. Criterion 1A, nothing has changed. And criterion 1B, there is nothing that is changed. Criterion 1C, if you are looking at 1C3, there is a small change. It is it's in criterion 1C5, 1C4. It is talking about transparency of financial and non-financial reporting. That is one small change. In 1D, no change. Please come to 1E, very important. All the last 3 points, the last 3 bullets, that is 1E, 4, 5, 6, all the 3 are new. We have talked about that project management, focused process improvement, structured approach for generating and prioritizing creative ideas, and testing and refining the ideas within the time scales. So 1E, the last 3 bullets or the last 3 guidance points are totally new. So next we quickly move on to criterion 2. So in criterion 2A, as I said, the potential scenarios, that is look at the last one. 2A4 is a new point. 2A4 is a new point. And 2B, there is not much of a change. And in 2C, please look at 2C2, very important, new change. Integrate the concepts of sustainability within your core strategy, and then process design and allocate resources. So 2C2 is totally new. And in 2D1, it is talking about that agility and then speed of changes in the value chain. 2D1 is something where there has been a small change. Other than that, there are no major changes in criterion 2. Come to quickly to criterion 3 in page number 13. In 3A, you have 3A3, that is the third bullet point, which is a new inclusion. 3A3, rapidly adapting organization structure to support the achievement of the strategic goals. 3A3 is a new one. And then in 3B, please come to 3B2. 3B2 is totally new. It is talking about talent management. 3C, nothing has changed except for the fact that the last point in 3C was earlier the last point in 3E. So there has been some amount of repositioning. 3D, there is no change. And in 3E, there is a small element of that work-life balance. So 3E3, there is a small change. Come to criterion 4. Criterion 4A, no major change. Criterion 4B, again no major change. Criterion 4C, look at the last point of 4C5. 4C5, there is a change. And in 4D, there is again a change in terms of 4D2, evaluating and developing a technology portfolio to improve the agility of the process. That's where there is a change. If you come to 4E, the last 2 points are totally new. That is 4E5 and 4E6, both of them are new. Come to criteria 5. In 5A, there is no change. In criterion 5B also there is no change. But in criterion 5C, there is a small change. The first bullet, know who the different customer groups are. This was earlier in 5E. Now it has been repositioned and realigned into 5C as a first bullet point. And in 5D, there is no change. And in 5E, the last change is on ensuring that customers are clear on their responsibilities. In the earlier model, the focus was on educating the customer. Now it is on ensuring that the customer is using the products and the services right. So that is a change in criterion 5E. So quickly we move on to the results criteria now. Go to results criteria. Not much of a change to say so. Please open your page number 17 for the result criterion. 6A and 6B. and also the next page 7A, 7B, 8A, 8B, 9A, 9B. There have been no changes, major changes to say so in any of the points, but the only small noticeable change would be in terms of the A and the B indicators, 6A, 6B, 7A, 7B, 8A, 8B, 9A and 9B. What they have done is the measures, if you come to, let us say for example in page number 17 in criterion 6A, you have got the 6A perception measures which are roughly around 5 measures, and then 6B which are roughly around 4 measures. Now here there is a better alignment between the perception and the performance parameters. So that is, so it is only more of realignment and repositioning, but there are absolutely no major changes when it comes to the type of points whatever have been illustrated. So the same thing holds good for whether it is criteria 7, whether it is for criterion 8 or criterion 9. So I am trying to sum up on in terms of all the result criteria in one go, because as I said there is no change, there is only be a realignment, a rechopping, and then rearranging the A and the B parameters for a better fit. That's it. So let me come to 9A and 9B, where I will just want to make one small change over here. Now if you look at 9, particularly in terms of criterion 9A, it is talking about business stakeholder perception. Now who is a business stakeholder? Please look into the glossary. If you go into the glossary, it defines as to who is the business stakeholder. This is a new thing that has been introduced. Why? Because EFQM has got a lot of government organizations who are applying to this particular framework. So to make sure that it addresses that particular community's interests also, so this particular thing has been brought in over here. If you look at the definition of business stakeholders in the glossary in page 27, it says these are the people who generally provide funding for the organization, people who are in the management team, ultimately whom they report to. In companies, they could be owners, shareholders or investors. In the public sector, this could be government, ministers or politicians. So it all depends on who your stakeholder is. Is your stakeholder the directors of the company, or are they probably, it could even be, let us say, it could be the steel minister, power minister if you are in that particular sector. So you are also free to, what do you say, solicit their perceptions of the people and also put them across over here. So that is just one more small change. And then since in 9B, in criteria 1, we were also talking about project performance. So that's the reason why if you look at in 9B, the model is also telling you that you can choose to present data relating to project cost also in 9B. So other than that, there is not much of a change when it comes to any of the parameters in the results. Now we come to the last section of the program where we will discuss about the radar, and then we will wrap it up. So far we have seen 3 points being discussed as a part of the upgrade. The first one was that basis of the model, where we spoke about the UNGC principles. Next we spoke about the changes to the fundamental concepts of excellence. Then we came down to the 9-box model, and we tried to look at where exactly the fundamental changes have got impacted as a criterion or a sub-criterion. We saw those changes. Now in the end we will conclude it with understanding what are the changes that have happened as a part of the radar. Now if you look at the radar, I would also want to draw your attention to, anyway, if you're already having the criterion booklet, then I would want you to get into page number 23 of the model booklet. Page number 23 of the model booklet. In case if you don't have it, not a problem, you can also look into this particular slide as well. The only change in the, if you are looking at from the element and the attribute point of view, what has changed in the enabler radar is the word systematic has been replaced by the word structured. And in the result radar, the word cause and effect has been replaced by called as confidence. So these are the 2 small changes that have been brought in as a part of the attributes. And then if you are looking at the radar per se, the radar is more I would say has been decongested to a great extent. You are finding that nothing is written in those white boxes, whereas earlier there was a lot of prose in that which was talking about comprehensive results, 3/4, half, quarter of the results, etc., etc. Now most of them have been removed. Now I'll try to talk about what are the changes in each and every column. So I would want your attention for a couple of minutes. So in the guidance column, that is in the second column, earlier there were a lot of bullet points. Now all the bullet points have been combined and they have been given as one single guidance point. So there are those bullet points have gone. There is only one single guidance point. And then one more change that you will observe is the word ability, the evidence has been changed to the word demonstrate. So it means that this is just to make sure that you are not going towards an auditing mode. So the evidence is more of an audit mode. So that's the reason why that negative connotation has been removed from the word evidence. Now they have moved to a word called as demonstrate. So that is also to signify that organizations have also come a long way in terms of their excellence journey, and more than trying to go and find evidence, it is more about whether the applicant is able to show or demonstrate that level of maturity. So that's why that ability to demonstrate has been brought in as one more change. And then the other noticeable change what you will see is in the last column, which says whether are you recognized as a global role model. Now to be recognized as a global role model, now the onus is on the applicant to prove the maturity. The assessors will not go around trying to find evidence to see whether the organization is world class or not. Now it is imperative on the applicant to show whether are they a global benchmark for a particular process or for a particular result. So that is the intention of that global role modeling element which is coming in as a part of the last column over here. And one more point for your consideration is, please go into the last bullet point on the right hand side in the enabler for radars on your page number 24. Now I am trying to talk to you on what are the changes in terms of the scoring. Now if you keenly look into the third bullet point on the right hand side, it says the overall score, that is the overall score for a sub-criterion, should not exceed that of the approaches that is adopted. So the approach score cannot be more than the score of the deployment and the A&R. And further, if you go down, it says if the approaches are not sound or do not fully cover the criterion part being assessed, no matter how well all the other attributes have been scored, the score will be limited to that given to the soundness of the approach. So the soundness is the attribute which will be very key to the maturity of the score of that particular criterion. So what we mean to say is, in fact we have been harping about this from the last, I would say the last 2 years. Please do not score only at the AD A&R level. Please score at the SysMyLA level, mainly at sound, integrated, implemented, systematic, measurement, learning and improvement, so that you would know that if the score for soundness is low, then whatever be the average of the scores, the score cannot exceed the score that is given for the soundness of the approach. This is applicable for all the enabler criteria. Now similarly, please come to the radar for results. So if you look at the radar for results, again the same logic holds good. As I said, the word cause and effect has been replaced by the word confidence, and then again all the columns have been decongested. You are finding that the prose portion is again totally eliminated. The last column is trying to talk about whether are you a global role model when it comes to any of the results that are being pursued. Now very similar to the radar for scoring in enablers, even the radar for results also has followed the same logic. Again go to your page number 25, look under the third bullet, the last column, which is talking about the scoring. It says that the overall score should not exceed the score of should not exceed that of the scope and relevance of the results available. For example, if the scope of the results do not fully cover the criterion part being assessed in line with organization's strategic goals, the overall score will be limited to that given to the scope and the relevance. So meaning to say that if your scope is not good enough, if the breadth of the results presented are not good enough, there is no point, however well you might choose to do as far as the performance is concerned, you are not going to get a higher score. So the net effect or the message that is coming out of the enabler for radar and the enabler for results is that the scoring will be limited by the soundness of the approach in terms of an enabler or in terms of the scope and the relevance when it comes to the results. These two will be the deciding factor when it comes to the final score. So, I mean, this is what just now we spoke about. So, in terms of the radar, as I said, the word in the enabler, if you look at the change has been in terms of the systematic to structured. In terms of the radar for results, the change has been from cause and effect to confidence. And then just now I told you on the score as well. So just to conclude on what we have been discussing from the last probably close to around 2 hours, the summary of the entire thing is the context was we arrived with at the basis for the model where we were linking up all this to the human values and the quality of the life. We went into the fundamental concepts where 2 of them were not changed, 2 of them got radically changed, the other 4 there was a change in the articulation. So the fundamental concepts are the same, but they are larger, they are wider and much deeper in terms of their scope. We went into the 9-box model. We looked at where exactly the criteria has changed and where we need to focus as an organization. What are the changes? As I said, the structure of the model, the parts, the weightages, the titles, most of them remain the same. There has not been much of a change except for that word EFQM criteria and definition. And as you saw over here in the entire model, there has been a lot of focus on the value chain in terms of talent management, in terms of outstanding results, in terms of agility and also sustainability. These were the main changes what we saw that have been brought in as a part of the 2013 model. So the change is more of evolutionary changes. These are not revolutionary changes. So just I would like to also try to go into the summary of the radar. The overall radar structure is unchanged. There has been only a few changes in the title. The guidance points have been simplified, they have been repositioned, and now it is the applicant who has to prove that he is a global role model. That's what, as far as the final, the column is concerned. Now the onus is on the applicant to prove the process maturity as well as the result maturity. In case if he is he feels he is a global role model, then there has to be some amount of data which he is trying to bring to the table to prove that he is a global role model. Example could be let us say that a particular practice has been acknowledged as a best by probably some body of knowledge. Let's say, for example, it could be by could be an ASQ or it could be somebody else, where it is an organization of repute where people stand up and take notice. If that sort of an organization commends the organization for a particular practice being exemplary, that can be a good example of showcasing that he is a role, that the applicant is a role model. The same thing holds good even with results as well. So just to sum up on the radar, the guidance point of, or let us say the attribute of soundness with respect to an enabler, and then the scope and relevance with respect to a result, these are the binding ones which will determine the maturity of the scores with respect to that particular criteria. So this is what we had to bring to you as a part of the excellence model upgrade. and I'm sure that either you attended a refresher or probably you can also attend a refresher, which will be webcast tomorrow, just in case if you have missed. So let me also quickly go into the questions pane. So as I said, since we had a limited audience, there were not much of questions, and I don't see much questions popping out. So I'll wait for a couple of minutes before I close. If there are any questions, please do type them out in the question box, or in case if you would want some more clarifications on any of the points of the model, please feel free to call me or CBS or Christian, or drop in a mail to us. We'll be happy to get back to you. So what I'll do is I'll just leave the the webinar open for a few more minutes for you to type out questions if any. So I don't see any questions coming in at this point of time. So with this, we would want to wrap up this webinar. Just to conclude with a couple of points. As I said, the emphasis now when you go to the assessments is on how to assess an organization on the 2013 model, while a few points have been given, like as I said, on the sustainability or on the value chain. Please do not be overly critical on these points as a part of the assessment, because this is the first year that organizations are applying to the 2013 model. So we have made a request to the assessors and the senior assessors not to be unduly harsh when it comes to the implementation of the 2013 model. But as far as the radar is concerned, we will definitely be evaluating the applicants based on the 2013 radar. So our focus of assessment would be based on the 2013 model only. So this is just to leave a thought with you. So thanks a lot for being with us this morning for this webinar. Any other questions, please feel free to get in touch with us by mail or over phone. We'll make sure that we respond to you and we address your queries. So thanks a lot for being with us for this webinar. Thank you and have a good day.